Sonic is a success and makes 72 million first weekend. The WB to sell CW and WB Discovery is the company. Next up on Just to Talk. So let's talk about it. And welcome to the Flicks, Picks, and the Nitpicks, and I am your host, No 718, and Sonic 2 is a success. Oh, it's a success. Finally seen Sonic, I think about last week for the first time. And you remember me here, I had no issues with the first designs. It was supposed to be a more anthropomorphic, more realistic and grounded in realism. Like, how would Sonic look if we could get it as close to realistic and mashing up with the cartoon? I didn't have any issues. A lot of people damn near fell out of their chair over it. And it felt like, I don't know, I got what they were trying to do. I didn't think it was as horrible looking to CG as they said, but I will admit, something to be said about the new design that's closer to the cartoon that makes Sonic a lot more quote-unquote lovable and approachable, because he's a lot more toon cute. I feel like the way they designed him in the beginning, because he was longer and leaner, he seemed older. Whereas the way they draw Sonic, even though he may have been younger, they draw him more to a cute size, more cartoony, more, you know what I'm saying, more compact as opposed to long and leaner, which could make a lot of the approach of the character seem a lot more different. I can understand that they was aiming for E.T. type of deal, but then remember, Sonic is still Sonic. You know, you don't need to make it a sci-fi thriller, you know what I mean, or sci-fi like E.T. dramatization, because that's not what Sonic is particularly about when you're playing the video games. I'm all for different directions and different approaches to characters that we would not have expected, but it still has to have a core sense of the characters, even if we're trying to do something different. Like if you wanted to take Sonic and, let's say, instead of E.T. was the contact with the child, it was Sonic. There's a way to go about doing it and still making it Sonic. Sonic still has to have rings. Sonic still has to have his lore, and there's ways to deal with it. And I thought the way they approached Sonic was well done. I was actually impressed and surprised at how much I enjoyed it. It wasn't like the best movie I've ever seen, but it was very enjoyable. It's something that I could watch with my nieces and nephews. It's a good family flick. And even as an adult, the nostalgia growing up with Sonic, I think it kind of hit all the marks. And if you're a deep cut Sonic person, which I kind of wasn't, because I knew of Sonic, I didn't play Sonic like that when I was young. I didn't have like the actual video game in my crib, but I played it elsewhere though. And as I got older, but yeah, I was more into like Mario and shit. You feel me? So those type of characters, I'm more of a Nintendo person in that respect. So for me though, still nostalgia, I was more into the cartoons of Sonic. Sonic had like 2 or 3 back in the day, and I watched those. So for me, I enjoy Sonic, and there were different variations of Sonic. That was just an excellent time, because you had an extra cartoony one played by Jaleel White, but I think Jaleel White might even played voice in another one. And there was a more like, I know there was like a more adult adventure-esque version. It wasn't like adult, but it was more like along the lines. If the first one was very cartoony for kids, after school special, the other one was a lot more for older kids, like for kids that was like tweens, if you will. I think you would call it your early teenage years. That was like the 12-year-olds. The other one from before with Jaleel White was more for like first graders, second graders, third graders. The other one was more for those about to go into junior high and junior high students, if you will, if I could be any kind of more paint the brush. So what they did with Sonic, it makes sense, and it was at a right time. It's very refreshing. It was something for the whole family, a CG, a big spectacle film that wasn't Marvel, and it's the first, I think the most successful comic book movie, if you will. And you know what? I like this. You know, I finally seen the first one. Now I could watch the second one. I heard the second one was very good from what I heard, but I had to go see the first one before I could watch the second one. And so far, you know, from when you take in what other people saying, the second one was just as good, and the standout was Knuckles, which I kind of was hoping that they would have did more with Tails, but they said Knuckles, Idris Elba as Knuckles. And look, man, we're going to see more Sonic. There's going to be a part 3 and a nice wrap up. I think this time you'll see Jim Carrey as the fat Dr. Robotnik. I do believe that you're going to get a lot more out of this, maybe even spin-offs, if you will. I think they might have even spoke of one on Knuckles, but we'll get to that another day. I just wanted to talk real loosely about its success, and this is one of the very few times in listening to the fans where they went out and purchased what they say they wanted to deal with, what they wanted, you know. And I think there's ways to go about it in a respectable manner. Yeah, I'm cool with the jokes, but I think sometimes we take it way too far. A lot of the adults in our culture and our fandom, we kind of like push the needle, make it a little bit more personal than we need to. And I know we do it for the sake of the joke, but we spew it now because it turns the algorithm. It makes people want to hate talk and hate watch it and say some of the most volatile fuckery, then be able to act like you ain't saying it from before. But one thing I will say is this is one of those success stories where there was a better partnership and balance between it, and you could kind of tell also the designers were like probably told them, let's go from the very beginning, that's not Sonic, let's go more to what Sonic looked like in a cartoon. And they try to make a happy medium, but it just didn't work, and they were quick to push back the film to say, hey, let's just go back. I think what happened behind the scenes was, I guess you guys were right, because they were ready to come back with another. They're not going to want this. This is not going to go over very well. And now it's hard to find the original version of Sonic. But if you ask me, this is one of the very few times that it worked, and it's a success. And let's see where they're at right now as of the recording of May 23rd. And on Wikipedia and Box Office Mojo, as it stands, it says they've made $375 million worldwide. And Forbes also says $375 million worldwide. Yeah, so it did pretty well on a budget that is, let's see what their budget is. Hold on a second. And on Google it says that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 budget was 90 to 110 million. And if you kind of, let's say you add another 100 million for like advertising and stuff like that, it at least, cause you could say it made over like maybe $150 million in profit, which is not a bad return. So, and let's make sure that I got Sonic 2 before Sonic 2, yeah, exactly. So with that being said, it's a success. And I think that this is a good idea moving forward on what they can do with not comic book movies, but video games turned to films. And see where you can find a happy medium where you can serve the core audience, that the geeks that's going to really sell the movie, because once they're turned over, they'll sell the movie, and also the general audience member in which you're trying to sell to as well, that doesn't have to get wrapped up in lore and all of those things, and finding a happy balance between the two. But let me know what you guys think, and do you think it's well deserved? Sonic 2, haven't seen it yet, but it's doing good, and this means a lot for video games turning into films moving forward, because you have a lane, you have an archetype. Now it's all about exploiting all the things that were working for it in its advantage. And I think one of the best things is staying to your core audience, staying to the core, not so much core audience, but core of the character. And I think that's where Mortal Kombat, I understood what they tried to do, But that's where they kind of missed their mark. They still need to focus on Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat, let's call it what it is. It's a gory thing. It's gore. If you don't lean into the gore, you're not going to get the return that you're looking for. And I think they were fairly gory. Well, not fairly. They were bloody enough. It wasn't exactly gory, but fairly bloody enough. Fine. But they did not lean into these characters as much. It felt more like a tease to get to the real characters. And a lot of their historical backgrounds, if you will, and the stories was bent so much going out the gate that you already knew that this was going to be unlike the video game. You know, you're going to miss a lot of things that you could have developed. Now, that's not 100% bad thing but for its first go out since like the 90s films, which were actually not bad, and especially the first one was pretty good for what it was back then. You would want to lean into that. But it looked like they were trying to set up for something even more by introducing a brand new character, which to me, I wasn't mad at, but I could also understand for hardcore characters, hardcore video gamers and people that are into the lore. It just seemed unnecessary and the character seemed pointless to them. Just that it just is what it is. I get it, but if you want Mortal Kombat to be a success, you need to start from what Mortal Kombat is and then branch outward. Yeah, I understand you want to sell merch and toys and stuff. There's a way to go about it, but you have to strip everything at its core and start focus on what Mortal Kombat is. The fight, the tournament, why they have to fight it, the two different worlds and how you can make that mesh with the real world, and then taking in how we can make that marketable for everyone. And you can go into the fantasy element, but you're still going to have to address the fatalities. That's kind of its core. So at its core, I would probably keep Mortal Kombat, especially budget, down low, because it's going to be a rated R film if I touch it. Now the question is, how gory will it be? How much will I earn that rated R? I don't need to do a lot of cursing, but I need to show some blood. This is Mortal Kombat. Now, the first movie didn't really need to do that, but if I'm going to be true to it, I would start there first. This new fandom is very different. Lean into it. Pay attention to what the animated movies have done, because I've heard people really enjoy that animated movie the last one that came out. And I think if you start from there, start from the core of the characters, then you can actually go further. And that's what Sonic the Hedgehog did. And I think that will lead the way for future I want to say comic book movies, but video games turn to films moving forward. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Now, to move on into some interesting waters, the WB is going to sell off CW. And I've been listening to a lot of other movie pundits, if you will, that talk about the business aspects of that. I just wanted to join the conversation because I don't really watch too much TV, but TV will always be around. I don't know what TV will evolve into with all the streaming shows that people are watching and people having less interest in commercials. But a free source of entertainment will always have its audience. The question is, will it be enough of an audience to keep the machine going for what people who want profit are looking for? A lot of people are saying that the CW series are bombing. I don't know. I don't pay attention to regular TV to that effect. But I will say this, a lot of the talk is that the comic book TV shows are now, most of them coming out of the Arrowverse, are just failing because they're no longer good. I fell off the Arrowverse for quite some time. Just don't have enough time to watch all the wealth of good TV, as well as trying to still stay abreast and in the mix online. But the bottom line is that I did notice the quality did go down over time. Are they running out of ideas? I think some of it is that. Like you've drawn water from that well so much that you're running out of water to draw from now. That well is starting to become dry. And that will happen. I'm sorry to say, it will happen. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something brand new. It's the definition of insanity. So what do? We gotta figure out a new way of doing it. It's sad because a lot of these new series that just got greenlit are getting removed. One thing we're going to start experiencing is lower budgets. Lowering the budgets. This overly spending because comic book movies are good, so the TV shows we're just going to throw. No, we're going to have to get back into real good directing, real good quality stories, and good directing to depict their powers without having to overblow the budget and still make it believable. It's going to take some very gifted directors to do that, and showrunners to be able to write series just like that and that interesting. But if the CW is not making any money, I could see why WB Discovery would be, when you come into a new CEO, the first thing you're going to do is they're going to cut off things that's not making any money. And if the CW is not making any money and we're exhausting all this money into these projects, they get rid of it. I'd rather just focus on streaming. Since Discovery has been so well at streaming that they could buy WB, then they're just going to focus on what works for them, and then they're going to streamline everything else. So you're going to come in and consolidate people, remove people that are making way too much money. So a lot of people are going to be changing of the guards because we need this machine to run a certain kind of way, and some of you guys are winning way too much money and not producing the numbers that we need. So as soon as we come in, I'm gonna just recover as much by getting rid of WB. So I'm gonna save money on the budgets on the shows. So I'm gonna tally that up. Then I'm gonna also how much I'm saving on putting out these shows. Then if I sell the WB CW, how much money I'm gonna get on that return is gonna add up. So how much I save and how much I got paid into. Like if they sell the CW, let's say they sell the CW for, let's say 100 million. And let's say out of all the shows budgets that we were going to do, comic book shows and all that they've canceled, let's say we could add that to another 150. Fuck it. We're at like, if I saved 100 million, if I got 100 million flipping it and saved 100 million on budget that I could have, that's 250 million I just recovered in a year as soon as I just got in there. As soon as I got in, and that's not even dealing with me and other people that been in this company way too long and then turn a buck. Because if I was to tally up all my executives that made horribly wrong decisions that are way up and add up how much their salaries are, let's say they all add up to about another 200 million. I get rid of all of them. And let's say I could save 100 million by installing new people with less responsibilities, but laser focused on certain things that I definitely need now that I cut and streamlined everything. That's another 100 million on a salary. Now, what we at, 250? Throw another 100 million out there because I got rid of 200 million, but I had to invest 100 million. Now, at just walking in, I saved the company 350 off the rip. And that's not any of the edifications that I might have made, and I saved that all as soon as I walk in. That's what most CFOs do. They come in and streamline everything, get rid of what I could save my money on, and then how I could recoup, and boom. Like with the new regime, and streamline everything and save, keep costs down. And now everybody's gonna have to explain to me why this show needs to be made. We're not just gonna be throwing shit at the wall. We're gonna really focus in on good talent, and I need the right people around me, and that's what Zaslav is doing. He's coming in and he's gonna see exactly where he's gonna cut the fat off. And then once he cuts the fat, he rebuilds, and then he's going to start focusing on each movie, how they're going to flip each movie. I don't think we need that big of a budget. So Zach, if you're going to be part of the new regime, you're going to have to be like not worry about putting out so much CG induced films unless it's worthy. Now, yeah, I get that we're going to need that with Justice League 2, but I would hope he employ a lot more practical effects, because I think he's an excellent director. I just think he doesn't need to use so much computer generated images when he can shoot well. It's great. It's a great shot. Great eye for the shot. But that's what I think on that. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now, we're going to get into the last part, which we just already kind of talked about, but we're going to dovetail into the WB Discovery is the name of the new company. And we're seeing a big regime change. Like I said, you're starting to see Project. We haven't seen the regime change just yet, let's put it that way. But we can see the writing on the walls, because as soon as all these these projects get shut down, a lot of people will lose their jobs. The people that were directing a lot of these series, a lot of actors will no longer be coming back. So what are they going to do? Well, it's still early in the game. I know everybody cares always about the Snyderverse, and this is a Snyderverse type of channel, but it's not always about the Snyderverse. I'm a realist. And right now, we got way too much stuff going on that I think that we have to be a lot more realistic in the way of that. And that goes both ways. There's money to be made continuing the Snyderverse. It seems like Zaslav is on the record for saying that he's looking to really focus on the Trinity. But he has a Trinity. The only problem is there's starting to be way too much baggage around it. Way too much drama that he'd have to unravel. And if it's cheaper to reboot the whole thing, he'll do it. Yeah, he may say, hey, I like what you did, Zach. I like where you were going, but you know what? Now look at Ezra. Look at Ezra. We're going to get rid of a lot of people, which I'm sure they will. So getting Ray Fisher back, it will be cool. I don't think Zaslav's giving any real apology per se to him for his effort, because he's not going to know what I'm not apologizing for shit. But what we can say is we apologize for how business was ran. But that's how it was before. I can only go past that. I don't want to rehash it. I don't want to fight it. I wasn't a part of it. But what I want to do moving forward is, and now that's going to be the conversation. If he's going to keep Hamada at WB, then he's going to have to iron that out between the two. And I think he can do it as an outside party. And I'll be honest with you, I can't believe you have Ray Fisher, no matter what I've read, can't really say something directly that Walter Hamada did outside of the conversation of saying that he knew Jeff Johns is a racist, but he just wanted to get Ray back in the fold to work with them. My position has always been he was supposed to say that. He was. Jeff Johns was there before him, and he might have had a position higher than him. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he wasn't empowered to remove him. He had to work with him. So what do you want him to say to Ray? He got a job. He just got promoted here. I'm not trying to lose a job fighting this guy. This is the game. You're going to have to work with guys like this. So what if he's racist? We're going to have to work with him. I know that. Boom. But you have to. I'm trying to get you to work with him. I want you to continue to work. I want to keep doing business with you. And I get how Ray Fisher could have felt offended, but we're here now. With the back and forth, you can't even erase that no more. So what you do with that, if you're coming into buying a business and you see this rip, you're going to want to clean this up. Just like Walter Hamada tried to do when he came in. He had nothing to do with what Jeff Johns did. I wasn't even there for that. He's going to try and clean it up. The only thing is this is going to be your last chance, Ray. You try to thug it out with him, you're a dub. Zaslav ain't got time to be arguing back and forth with. I could reboot this whole shit or just get you recast. I'm going to have to probably recast Ezra Miller, but he's so tied into the universe. How can you do that? Especially if you're interested in seeing what you can do with the Snyderverse. I think him saying that they're going theatrical is to let people know that if we go theatrical, if I go on with Zack Snyder, what Zack Snyder does, we're going to have to put his stuff in the theaters. His stuff is not going to be some pocket universe just only on HBO Max. He's not moving like that. And that's why I think he made that announcement. Just so you guys know, there ain't going to be pocket universes of this, that, or over. He wants to get his Trinity in order. And because you have films already in progress, Amber Heard issue now, you got, and she's not looking good. You got your Johnny Depp issue with WB. There's a lot Zaslav has to iron out. And he's very well aware about how the public perception is. He's going to have to handle this, but it sounds like he's going to have an unwavering hand about it. Like, he's not going to tip through the tulips over people's feelings. He's going to say, yo, this is just what it is. And maybe you need a guy like that. From what I understand, that's the direction he's going. People are making jokes about how serious he is about getting rid of people. Getting rid of, like, pausing all of that. Nah, all these projects, let me go through your projects. That, nah, cancel that. Wonder Twins, get rid of that. But this is the new company, the new regime. And people are going to have to get with it. And for the Snyder fans, I don't think he's going to give two fucks about what you got to say about him. He came to do business. And if y'all not willing to buy into what he's going to try to do with the Snyderverse, he'll go shut that whole shit down and say, reboot all of this. Boom. All of this. Yeah, I'll keep Matt Reeves' Batman going. The Batman keep going. That's going to be his own thing. I'm going to reboot all of this and we're going to just start a brand new franchise. Either that or Matt Reeves is going to have to learn to play ball after that 3-film joint. He's going to use that same Batman and put it in a brand new DCEU. I think the way they got Matt Reeves, I don't know what his contract looks like, but I have a feeling that he has a clause that this is going to be his universe to play with. So what else did you want to restart another Batman movie? No, you want to work with what you got. And this is why Zack Snyder still is a ball in play. But I don't want to make this about the Snyderverse. I just want to make this about the WB Discovery. This is a new company. This is going to be the way they're going to be setting up to move. Keep your ears to the streets. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get a lot of future projects that will at least make all of fandom a lot more cohesive, as opposed to having all these mini teams at odds with each other over what should happen and what should reflect the comics that they read or the cartoons or animated series runs that they enjoy, to be their definitive version of these characters. But that's all I got. Let me know in the comments below how you feel. Let me know, do you like the new do you see promise in it? See promise in the new, and I keep saying CW, but the what is it? WB Discovery. Leave it in the comments below. And as always, we already here. Like, share, subscribe. See you next time. And as always, till I have a better outro, chill.